global company who has, employees, partners in all of these regions. How do they operate and navigate through these very challenging and quite complex relationships?
Yeah. Especially at a time when the U.S. is contracting, and completely not getting involved in South America. It's like, where else are you going to mine?
This idea of this partnership between them, that conversation would not have happened 2 years ago.
No.
You have to work together around the supply chain and help each other. Because the bigger you can scale your supply chain, the more you can produce. We moved from 35 million doses per month to something close to 400 now.
Right.
But it also cycles every 4 years in the election cycle. So.
Well, I did like what they said about actually removing and making supply chains separate from whoever's in turn, because why is that already not in place?
We're thinking about network strategies, design, resiliency in the existing supply chains. And for me, it's like the new supply. We've got to think of the new end-to-end and the entire producer to consumer. Which is why I think that constricting on the consumer demand there has to be policies and ways to, manage that. It can't be this unconstrained
And these guys are talking about origin, but if we think about it in the destination side and fulfillment, last mile, think about all of the sustainability issues that are there. Not only pollution, but noise pollution. Yeah. You see it in Atlanta now. Policy is coming, and I think you're right. We're building for today's kind of system. Exactly. And if you just look 5-10 years ahead, it could be very different. We're back to this kind of contingency planning that we know it's going to be different. Let's think about how it could be different. Now we're robust to it.
Also, in 5 years, the consumer demand should be less because we can build higher quality components and the grade of the quality. Just again, that lack of blockchain and getting deep into the supply chain. You should be able to fix these, and that's where that reimagining the new supply chain and it's got to be with sustainability.
We need to realize the problem, come with an action plan, and it's a mentality of how we can make every process more resilient.
Partnerships with data, it's not about having the physical. You just need the signals, and they can come from, owned as much as lease, charter, all the variations on a theme. If you have standards, without the standards, it falls apart.
Think about the policies with the different countries to make sure it's an even and a fair playing field. Because he's like, you might have these policies for your country, your region, but in another region is not operating by the same policies.
But that's where we're going to have not a sort of import tariffs and protectionism, not just based on price, but based on human rights, based on emissions, based on other ESG type criteria.
Previously, 4 years ago, we were tracking just the suppliers, the direct suppliers we had. Now we are going deep in the suppliers of our suppliers of our suppliers.
Here, that is going to change the picture, the shape of supply chains. It's going to be not just on economics, it's going to be more on the geopolitics and the ESG and the standards type approach that I think the EU was talking about. That's going to be costly. Somebody has to pay for that ultimately.
That's where I go, policies and consumer, though, has to start looking at. I think we're seeing that from our customers.
The objective is to reduce our carbon emissions by 55% in 2030. That's why it's 50-55. And the transport sector has a very important role.